Animals have long been the scientific community's shock troops, the first to hit the beaches when a brand new frontier of knowledge is discovered. But the sad truth is, those soldiers never volunteered for any of the missions. Thousands of monkeys and mice, utilised as test subjects for Jonas Salek's first polio vaccine, were drafted for the job without giving a damn to their wishes. The same is true for the first animals in space. Human beings had fantasies of flying out towards the moon and planets, but the survivability of such an operation was an open question. Watch this video to learn how different animals came to help their best friend yet again, but this time in space. This video is brought to you by Answerly, a questions answers platform that pays you for adding high-quality answers to different questions. The answers are rewarded in Answerly tokens, which they can easily convert into dollars or any other cryptocurrency by using one of the exchanges mentioned in the description. Fruit flies. The first ever animal travelled to space in 1947. Surprising for some, it was the tiny fruit fly. At that time, American scientists were trying to learn all about the impact of cosmic radiation on astronauts. And for learning more, they chose flies. Why? Because flies are genetically similar to humans. So the scientists loaded a V-2 ballistic missile with the fruit flies. This missile travelled 109 kilometers into the air, the distance at which space officially begins. On its drop back to Earth, a capsule containing the flies was parachuted down to New Mexico. On opening the capsule, the scientists heaved a huge sigh of relief. The flies were still alive, with no evidence of the radiation effects whatsoever. But this was only the beginning of a long line of astronaut animals to come. Monkeys and apes. Amazingly, at least 32 monkeys and apes have been to space already. We're talking about rhesus macaque, pig-tailed monkeys, cynomolgus monkey, squirrel-tailed monkey, and chimpanzees, to name a few. A rhesus macaque called Albert II was the first monkey species to travel to space. Launched in 1949, he reached 134 kilometers. Sadly though, it died on impact when re-entering the Earth's atmosphere due to a parachute failure. Albert I preceded him a year earlier, who suffocated within his cramped capsule before leaving the ground. Mice. Mice have helped humans a lot in understanding how space travel will affect the human body. NASA studies show mice can quickly adapt to microgravity conditions. The first ever mouse travelled to space in 1950. It managed to reach an altitude of 137 kilometers. Unfortunately, unlike the fruit flies, the mouse died when the rocket disintegrated due to a parachute failure. Dogs. Several dogs have gone into space under the former Soviet Union. The most celebrated was Laika in 1957. She was picked up off the streets as a stray mongrel pup in Moscow. Laika was deemed suitable because of her gentle temperament. The scientists also supposed a stray would be better at coping with adverse conditions. Laika is renowned for being the first animal to orbit the Earth. Unfortunately, she never came back. She had just one meal and a 7-day oxygen supply. The Soviet government declared she persevered for 7 days. The reality? Laika died just 5 hours into the flight. Tortoises. The USA and the Soviet Union took their space programs to some crazy levels during 1968. But Russians won when they launched the Zond-5 spaceship with a capsule that carried soil samples, seeds, worms, and 2 steppe tortoises. The tortoises completed a circle around the moon and, after 6 days, returned to Earth. Though the plan had been to land in Kazakhstan, the capsule veered off course. Eventually, authorities retrieved it from the Indian Ocean. Fortunately, the tortoises were still alive, though they had lost weight by 10%. Frogs. NASA launched the orbiting frog Olotith spacecraft in 1970, which contained 2 bullfrogs. The word Olotith points to the frog's inner ear balance mechanism. The experiment aimed at investigating the effect of space travel on motion sickness. Electrodes were implanted in the frog's thoraxes and the vestibular system within the ear to record the effects of sustained weightlessness. The study found that after 6 days, the frogs acclimatized and their vestibular system returned to normal. Spiders. In 1973, an experiment used 2 garden spiders called Anita and Arabella to see if they could still spin webs in space. The experiment was the brainchild of Massachusetts high school student Judith Miles. Both spiders managed to spin webs. However, the webs were somewhat more delicate than the ones woven on Earth. The research unveiled a comprehensive understanding of the impact of microgravity on motor response. Fishes. It was 1973 and NASA wanted to observe the impact of microgravity on animals that moved three-dimensionally on planet Earth. The first aquanauts to reach space were minnow, found in salt marshes. The mummichog, plus 50 eggs. The human astronaut suffered from space sickness, and just like that, the fish swam in loops rather than straight lines. The Japanese Space Agency sent fish up to the International Space Station in the year 2012. The aquarium made for this purpose had an automated feeding system, a water flow system, and LED lights to mirror day and night. Medaka fish got selected for this purpose. They have transparent skin, making it easier for researchers to see the fish. The object of this experiment was to understand how fish would respond to radiation impact, bone degradation, and muscle wastage. Tardigrades. Sent in 2007, tardigrades became the first animals to survive outer space. Also known as water bears, these are microscopic invertebrates that can deal with almost anything on Earth. Lack of oxygen, radiation, freezing temperatures, dehydration. None of these conditions can discourage a tardigrade. Scientists dried out tardigrades before the flight. These microscopic creatures orbited the Earth outside a rocket for 10 days. When rehydrated on their return to Earth, scientists discovered 68% of tardigrades managed to survive extreme cold and space radiation. Nematodes. In 2003, the Columbia Space Shuttle disintegrated when it re-entered the Earth's atmosphere. Tragically, 7 astronauts on board died. There were 80 science experiments aboard the shuttle as well. Incredibly, when recovered from the wreckage, authorities found a group of nematodes to have survived the extreme heat. These days, nematodes provide massive help in studying the impact of space travel on organisms. To date, 7 national space programs have flown animals into space. These include the space programs governed by the Soviet Union, USA, France, Argentina, China, Japan, and Iran. Monkeys, apes, dogs, cats, tortoises, mice, rabbits, birds, frogs, and insects, they have all been to space already. One can understand if cows want to go to space to see the Milky Way. But surely we can think of better ways to actualize our space visions than use poor animals as cosmonauts. These poor creatures have done enough for us already. Let us know what you think in the comments section of this video. This video is brought to you by Answerly, a stellar blockchain QA platform that pays you to learn. If you loved what you just watched, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to this channel. To learn more about Answerly and Answerly tokens, check out the links in the description.